Now on CoastTV News.
Speed drop surprise. Just how slow you'll have to go south of Dewey Beach.
Biden barn gone, while the owner tore the Route 1 landmark down.
Dog ban backlash.
Oh my gosh, can we really not walk our dogs here?
Slaughter Beach neighbors start a petition on beach access.
This is CoastTV News at 6.
Speed limit changes in Coastal Highway in a big way. Good evening. I'm Madeline Overturf.
And I'm Charlie Sakaitis. Welcome to our News at 6. We begin tonight focused on what will now be a slower stretch of road.
You can already see new signs displaying new speed limits right on Coastal Highway. DelDOT announced those changes that stretch from the south end of Dewey Beach all the way to the Maryland state line. Coast TV News reporter Brandon Ferguson is in the Jeep along the highway. Brandon, some speed limits have gone down by 20 miles per hour.
Maddie, we are on southbound of Coastal Highway, just leaving Dewey Beach, and we are entering one of the new 35-mile-an-hour zones just ahead of us. Now, this new 35 miles per hour zone lasts for about a mile and a half until you get to the new 50 miles per hour speed limit. And some people we spoke with today aren't sure if the speed changes will slow down anyone on the busy highway. New speed limit signs are up across Coastal Highway, which is surprising locals.
I'm looking at the speed and saying, geez, I thought it used to be 55.
That's true. On Coastal Highway after Dewey Beach, all the way to the Maryland state line, signs that used to read 55 miles an hour now read 50 miles an hour. And 45 miles an hour signs now start just a half mile after you cross over the Indian River Inlet Bridge heading south. Scott Albrecht lives in Bethany Beach and says the speed limit change is good in theory.
The reality is people are going to go whatever speed they're going to go. So I suspect a lot of people are going to go over that speed limit.
DelDOT says these changes were made because of the increase in speeding in the area and crashes involving pedestrians and bicyclists. Liz McNeese has seen the results when people don't follow the rules.
The devastating accidents that happen here constantly, and I think just like any other place, I think they can be avoided if everyone did adhere to the speed limit.
With these new speed limits in place, your ride to the beach might take a little longer, but with safety in mind, it might just give you more time to enjoy the view. Back here on Coastal Highway, we are on the second new 35 miles per hour zone, and that is if you're heading northbound into Dewey Beach, right past Key Box Road. And this lasts for a mile and a half until you get to the 25 miles per hour speed limit in the town of Dewey Beach. Live on Coastal Highway in the First Alert Weather Jeep, Brandon Ferguson, Coast TV News.
And it's not just speed limits. In Bethany Beach, town leaders and DelDOT want to add a median to create a place for pedestrians to stand while crossing at Route 26. Locals we spoke with see pros and cons.
The median might cause more of a problem for the drivers. Certainly would be safer for pedestrians trying to cross the road.
If town leaders move forward with this proposal to add medians, construction would begin this fall.
The iconic Biden barn on Route 1, well, guess what? It's been demolished. There's a picture of what it was. It was built in the 1920s as a dairy barn, well before its popularity. Now, the owner of the now gone barn is actually the Delaware Secretary of Agriculture, Don Clifton. He says the primary concern for the demo was the structure was falling apart and had become unsafe.
As small dairies became financially unviable, barns like this became less and less useful, and so eventually came time to take it down, but I delayed it for quite a number of years.
Clifton says another reason for the demolition was the need for more space to fit large equipment.
And just across the way, you may have seen this old brown farmhouse. The over 100-year-old house is being demolished this year. The man who leases the property says it's just too old for repair. The produce stand on the land is, though, being fully revitalized with a goal of being open by summer. This brings us to our Coast TV poll. We want to know, What best described the Biden barn to you?
Let's take a look at the updated results from last news hour. Take a look at your screen here, and 50% say eyesore, 42% say local icon, 1% say what is that, 4% say just a barn, and 3% say political symbol.
And it looks like we have a comment here. Terry Levy of Georgetown says, I loved passing the Biden barn. Now hearing the history makes me sad it was decided to be torn down. He had to do what he had to do. It would have been a nice, authentic museum to show the public how dairies worked back in the day. Then there is funding needed to do that. So farewell, Biden barn.
If you haven't voted yet, you can still do that. We'll check back in with the results later on Coast TV News at 11. An Eastern Shore lawmaker is looking to take advantage of momentum in a fight against offshore wind. Senator Mary Beth Carrozza recently sent a letter to the U.S. Department of the Interior asking for an immediate halt to U.S. Wind's proposed project off the coast of Ocean City. Carrozza's request comes on the heels of a federal decision to halt a project up in New York.
All of us, elected officials, the Watermen's Association, recreational boating, tourism, constituents, all take advantage and make sure that the Secretary of the Interior hears our voices that we want a halt to Maryland's offshore wind project now.
U.S. Wind declined to comment today, but the company has repeatedly told Coast TV its project will provide energy to hundreds of thousands of homes and lead to quality American jobs. All that in the Ocean City area, and that's where we are taking a live look outside right now into, as we turn it over to our first alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams with a look at our forecast.
Well, as we take a look at what's happening, we're dealing with mesoscale circulation right now. And the reason why I bring that up, I typically don't, is because we had some concerns, folks that were calling in and that were writing us in on our Facebook page about some smoke. We're going to take a look at that in just a moment. You see, what's happening, we still have a great deal of fires that's happening throughout portions of the New Jersey. And I just read an article a few moments ago updating the fact that they are making ground. They're gaining ground on the devastating wildfire there. But we still have an air quality alert that's active throughout portions of Jersey. Now, why am I bringing that up for us? We have high pressure and control of our weather, but our air quality has gone from good to moderate. And this latest look at our future smoke indicating we may have another significant plume that's going to hit us by tomorrow afternoon. We'll talk more about your full forecast in a moment. To then, back to you, Maddie.
New tonight, beaches and dogs. Every coastal town has their own rules for your furry friends. And as Coast TV News reporter Emma Aiken shows us, changes are coming to that walk by the waves on part of Slaughter Beach.
2 people, 4 dogs, and even more opinions when it comes to pups on Slaughter Beach. Sherry Sober, her neighbors, and their dogs love a good stroll on the sand.
Our dogs live amongst the wildlife.
It's been their norm for years. But just recently, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service put up these signs saying no dogs on the south end of the beach.
It was just the thought of our everyday life for some people for 14 plus years being completely disrupted by this sign without notice and without warning and without any reasoning for doing it.
But the U.S. Fish and Wildlife's Chance Davis says dogs have been banned on that part of the beach for years to protect the wildlife that lives there. He says the rule just wasn't enforced. Sober, though, says her and her neighbors had no idea dogs weren't allowed.
If you look at the U.S. Geological Survey map, the wildlife refuge does not go to the low tide water line. So to shut the whole beach off seemed like an overreach.
Sober and her neighbor started a petition and even sent a letter to the U.S. Department of Interior to try to get this rule changed. But they haven't gotten a response to their letter, and Davis says he doesn't support reversing the ban. He thinks dogs cause damage and disturb the wildlife, including endangered birds in the area. Furry or feathered, people on each side of this argument are just trying to do what they believe is right for the animals that live and play here along the coast. In Slaughter Beach, Emma Aiken, Coast TV News.
Here's a look at a new affordable housing project taking shape in Georgetown. That home will turn into a 2-bedroom house priced at $100,000. It's a project by Little Living LLC that could bring around 20 of these homes to the East Market Street area. The group's president says these homes target a growing need for workforce housing in that area.
These are the checkout people in the supermarkets. These are the people that work at Purdue. They need housing. We don't have enough people. If we don't have enough housing, we don't have enough people working. So this is really workforce housing to keep Delaware growing.
The Little Living president says they expect to have both example homes finished by the end of May.
And we're just getting started this evening.
The iconic Nanticoke River Bridge turns 100 years old today, and 100 years ago, an important vehicle was the first to cross.
And we had concerns about plumes of smoke across Millsboro. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about how much this pollen count is going to be a big-time problem for the next couple of days, Maddie.
First pond problems in Georgetown. It's what's living in them causing two ladies to have some foul feelings when we're back in just 60 seconds.
This is Coast TV News at 6.
1, 2, 3. There's 4 ponds actually at the Vintage of Cinderberry in Georgetown. And the people who live there say they see geese there all the time.
The geese there aren't the only ones ruffling feathers in the community. Coast TV reporter Zakiya Jennings shows us how 2 women say their geese population is being annihilated by their HOA.
2 geese resting by a pond in Sandra Wald's backyard. She says her HOA is getting rid of the geese and they need to be protected.
It's part of nature. It's part of things that God has created in our world today. That we've lost so many of our birds and wildlife due to climate warming, due to fires, due to people being awful.
She says the HOA hired a contractor for egg addling. If you've never heard the term, it is a process to prevent bird eggs from hatching.
It's absolutely flat out wrong.
There are various methods to do this, but Walt says the company is pouring a thin layer of food-grade oil, like corn oil, on the eggs. The HOA president was not available for an on-camera interview, but says they have a federal permit to do what they're doing. He says his contractors have been harassed by these women, leading him to send a cease and desist letter to one of the ladies. Susan Townsend is reading her cease and desist letter from the HOA for the first time. Townsend says the word she likes to use in this case is, quote, annihilation, and wants the pond to be left alone.
It's really incredible that people have no concern. And I am a spiritual person, and I just feel that, people are not paying attention to what could happen to us as the next species on this list.
The women say if the permit is not revoked, they'll continue on with their lives and possibly start a nature club. In Georgetown, Zakiya Jennings, Coast TV News.
Now, we did reach out to DENREC today regarding this, seeing if they had any sort of role. And they said, quote, DENREC has no role in the issuing of the federal permit you've described the HOA president as possessing. It is obtained through the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
Let's take a look at our expectation for the DSN Outdoors Expo. We're looking for some scattered showers on Saturday's event, but still, it's worth coming out, so don't forget, Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Sunshine, we had an abundance, but we had some interesting things happening dealing with smoke and something interesting happening with our allergy count as well. We'll get to both in a moment. Our Irish Eyes camera in Lewis, we're holding at 66 degrees, and we anticipate falling to the mid-50s by 10 o'clock with a few scattered clouds sliding in a little bit later. This is where we stand right now with our live radar, looking pretty clear. However, just to our northeast, we had some interesting things happening with the wildfire that's going really crazy throughout portions of Jersey, but the latest information indicates they're starting to get a hold on really control that fire. However, in the midst of that, we have air quality that's beginning to go down a bit for us, really down towards the Cape May area. And the reason why I bring that up for us, we're under a high pressure system with the clockwise rotation that's grabbing some of this smoke and swinging it in our direction. A lot of folks wrote us on our Facebook page about it, wondering about the smoke. Yeah, you weren't just imagining things, particularly over Millsboro. And there may be more on the way, by the way. You see, our air quality index has dropped to moderate. It's not unhealthy or anything, but it shows that there's something out there. And then our future smoke, where it's a model that tracks smoke that we have on a small scale here, we're watching out for additional smoke for Thursday afternoon. So don't be surprised if you see something similar again for tomorrow afternoon, right after lunch. Mostly clear for tonight, dropping to 49 in Long Neck, Millsboro, as well as Georgetown. Our storyline, we're going to have a smoky morning, all right? The smoke I just mentioned. But then wall-to-wall sunshine following that. Friday, high tree pollen. So pollen's going to be an issue. So breathing is going to be our primary, concerns, so to speak. I mean, when you think about it, I'm going to step out here to the side here. We have for Thursday, our tree pollens are going to be high for oak, ash, birch, and maple. But it's still going to be terrific on Delmarva, 77 in Seaford, but 68 for the high in Lewis. As we slide over towards Cambridge, we anticipate 77 degrees there as well, with a good deal of sunshine, and winds out of the southeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour, with a high of only 66 degrees. Ocean City, 64 for Chincoteague. Sparsing what's going on for Thursday at about 8:30, we will be in the low 60s. That's a relatively mild start, and we will bounce into the 70s throughout the afternoon. Friday, we'll see increasing cloud cover, and we'll still warm into the 70s, well into it. But as we go into Saturday, we'll have the wind shifting out of the south. We'll start off cloudy Saturday morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. And then following that, the rain will kick in. How much so? How about 63% worth? It's because that's what we're expecting. But that's just that one day. So let's examine that day. By 9 o'clock, we see the rain moving into the peninsula. Winds coming out of the south. Then it covers us all throughout the afternoon, going to 5:30. And then it begins to move out of the way as going through the late night hours. And then the winds change direction with the frontal boundary pushing through. A bit of good news, though. Temperatures will stay above the norm for the next few days in the rural. So even if we're going to deal with a little rain, it's still going to be warmer than what it should be. 47 for tonight, 76 and terrific for tomorrow, 77 for Friday. Finally, here's a look at your 7-day forecast.
Paul, thank you. The iconic Nanticoke River Bridge turns 100 years old today. On April 23rd, 1925, the Nanticoke Bridge reopened, connecting Seaford and Blades. And this is kind of cool. The first car to cross was the Seaford Fire Company's first motorized fire truck. The bridge remains a key structure, and there are plans for renovations to maintain its function and preserve its history.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Today, some local pro ball clubs are trying to get back in the win column, and we start over at Purdue Stadium. The Delmarva Shorebirds fell yesterday to the Augusta Green Jackets 5-1. The offense has struggled for the Shorebirds, tallying 2 or fewer runs in 5 straight games. They'll try and bounce back tonight in Game 2 at 7:05 p.m. Make sure to tune in to DSN to watch live. And today we got the chance to talk to former Penn State player, coach, and now analyst of Nittany Game Week, Jay Paterno. He gave plenty of insight on Nittany Lions' top prospects, defensive end Abdul Carter and tight end Tyler Warren, one day before the NFL Draft. Catch it all on the Final Score tonight at 10:30 p.m. And we are just one day away from a new season of our ongoing docuseries Into the Trenches. This time we follow the Cape Henlopen Vikings as they embark on a new voyage into their 2024 football season. Episode 1 airs tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. on both DSN and WBOC. And make sure to tune in to the Final Score tonight at 10:30 p.m. because we'll have the highlights from the first ever high school varsity pickleball match in Maryland history with the Salisbury School hosting Gunston. That'll do it for sports. Have a great night, everyone.
Coming up this Friday and Saturday, head on over to the Harrington Fairgrounds. The Outdoors Expo is your one-stop shop for everything outdoor.
Here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. 76 on Thursday, 77 on Friday. Watching out for thunderstorms popping up on Saturday, and then much warmer next week.
Thank you, Paul, and thanks for joining us here for Coast TV News at 6.
For more news, more local weather, download our Coast TV News app.
The NBC Nightly News is up next.
And we're going to see you later tonight for Coast TV News at 11. Have a great evening.